As Mega Young Designers competition celebrates 2 decades of outstanding fashion design, who else can give a chronicle of its ins and outs than the founder and CEO, former Mega Editor-in-Chief, and host of Mega YDC for TV, Sari Yap.
In 1994, our big problem was, number one, we had limited funds, but I think more importantly, Mega had not obviously established the reputation that it had now. What Mega was trying to do was to do things on an international level. And to make that point, we wanted to bring in international judges.
The competition that year was a star-studded affair as fashion luminary flew in to judge the finalists.
The first one we really wanted to get was the editor of French Vogue. And how did we get her? Very simple. We looked up the number of French Vogue and called long distance. We also wanted a representative from Filipino designers, but we wanted somebody who had already actually done well abroad. And that's why I wanted Josie Natori to come. Now, on hindsight, we had so much talent. The winner, Fern One, is now, of course, like one of the most important, if not the most important designer in the Middle East. One thing that people don't know is that the other important designer, Michael Cinco, and now he's making waves in Hollywood and a lot of these celebrities are wearing his clothes, was a finalist in the first competition, except that by the time we gave him notice that he was a finalist, he had actually gone to the Middle East. And of course, like, who is one of the most famous designers in Manila right now? Rahul Laurel. So actually, the first Young Designers competition almost left Mega bankrupt because we used all our money, to fly all these people in, to give everyone a fantastic show. Everyone was talking about that competition for years to come. Like 3 years down the line, people were still talking about the impact that created.
The Mega YDC 1995 was a hit, as 6 finalists took inspiration from the theme Musikang Filipino. It was the solid collection of Mario Rotersos that won the judges' approval. 1997 marks a milestone in Mega YDC history. 10 finalists were chosen, and it was the collection of dyed gray satin jersey of Raul Ramirez that triumphed.
In the year 2000, we started collaborating with the British Council because we really understood that it was important for the designers to actually have foreign exposure. And that's why the British Council was very, very open to that, and that was our prize. Scholarship to a school in London. The winning designer that year was Noni Disa, and for me, his design was the most fun. I'm particularly proud of 2002 Young Designers competition. From these 10 finalists, majority are still working and known designers today. Mitch Dulce is in Paris, of course, now as a milliner, and she's a hat designer. And Ivarluski Aceron, who really is considered like one of the pillars of design at this time, with a very, very distinct identity of his own. And then we have James Reyes, who's been heading fashion guilds. We have Chris Diaz, who's really known for his feminine aesthetic. And of course, Alex Pigao, who actually won the competition that year.
Mega YDC took a different turn in 2004 with the theme Fashion Refashion. Ultimately, it was Gian Romano's edgy and tailored creations that bagged the top prize. In 2006, 6 finalists were called to weave the shape of the new future. And because of his excellent construction, Aris Lagat won.
In 2008, which was the 14th anniversary of YDC, I think that was a milestone of sorts because by that time, we already had a sufficient number of alumni that had made a name for themselves. We thought they could be the judge of the new batch.
Rahul, you've been here before.
Yeah, a long, long time ago.
Do you know how they're feeling then?
A little, of course, anxious, scared, and excited.
And so we had Rahul Laurel, Ibarluski Aceron, Alex Pigao, Mitch Dulce, and of course Carla Sibal, who was editor-in-chief of Mega at that time, to judge these young designers. And the winner was...
Well, for the first time, a woman, Vanessa Ann.
And so 2008 marked the last time that the Young Designers Competition was purely an event and a fashion show. All succeeding Young Designers Competition became a reality TV show.
Narag-naragan talaga.
The winner was Russell Villafuerte. Well, in 2012, that was the second time we did the Young Designers Competition for television.
Ito na, takbuhan na. Wala talaga akong fears sa competition.
Oh, we could do it. Let's bring it.
I'm sorry.
I'm not really that much of a talker.
Di ako plastic Please, there's no Oracan party here.
This is Generation Mega, Mega's Young Designer Competition 2012.
Ayan na! Ayan na talaga, reality show. Aba.
It was also very interesting to note like how we put together our judges because we had to have the authority, but at the same time, we had to have humor. And Abel Bacudio seemed to be the perfect person to bring in.
Isa lang ang masasabi ko, W-O-W.
Because he would just say anything that came out of his head would come out of his mouth.
Okay, maganda ako. Parang kopyahin mo ko.
Then we had this other judge, Raya Manangkil, who was a well-known model, and she would speak in flawless English.
This kind of looks like a goth flamenco dancer gone wrong.
And the two of them would talk to each other in different languages and, you know, understand each other. And that was just so funny, and I was there in the middle.
Enough na, Ryan. Umiiyak ka na. You want water?
And that year, Renan Paxson won.
Renan Paxson.
Ladies and gentlemen, Renan, our 10th Mega Young Designer Grand Prize winner.
By 2013, we really wanted to up the game. And then we said, why not bring back something which is the hallmark of the Young Designers Competition, which is the mentorship program. And so we invited two of our former Young Designer Competition contestants, Jeffrey Rogador and Chris Diaz. Two others who were not contestants, but they were established designers, which is John and Paul Herrera. Because they were so opinionated, and we thought it would make for good TV. And of course, Puy Quiñones, who was such a controversial figure. You know, in this particular competition also, there was so much drama. The House of Quiñones.
Sorry. Now you say I have to say something.
because a house actually committed an error, actually broke the rule in this challenge.
So I believe that we're at a standstill. We need to discuss how we're going to move forward because one of you is going home.
I'm so pissed. I'm so pissed right now. Yeah, so yung competition, I'm leaving.
That's a bit childish. It's a bit childish. It's not. We were after the professionalism of the whole competition.
Where's my bags? Yeah.
Anyway, tapos, ano gagawin mo dyan?
Versus the house of...
ugly fight.
It was the house of Quinones versus the house of Ferreira.
Ikaw na lang binagtatala. Are you pressured?
We're hoping that after everything that we've been through together, the friendship that we shared would be stronger than this whole competition.
Meron akong, peace sa aking aura. Which is... I'm sorry. It's okay. We're just pressured. I know. Sorry. I'm really a childish.
Mega Young Designer of the Year 2013 is Emir Yamamoto. Congratulations, winner of the Mega Young Designer competition, All Stars. Between the three houses is the house that never won, the house of Herrera, John and Paul. Before the year was over, Paul passed away unexpectedly. I remember Paul not so much as a designer who designed the winning collection, but as a designer who learned how to become humble and to overcome all of his weaknesses in order to come up on top. It's not so much that he started out really great, but that I think he is a role model for every designer because of this humility, which was so important, because of that humility and his accepting what previously they did not want to accept, which is honest and constructive criticism from their peers. When I learned that he had passed away, in a sense, I said, yes, I guess it is time, because Paul himself told his brother, I know it's my time, I am ready, I have done everything that I needed to do. And I think what he also would have wanted to say was that I have learned what I have come to this life to learn, which was this key virtue, which was humility. Since it's the 20th anniversary of the Young Designers Competition, we'd like to pay a visit to some of the well-known alumni of the YDC who have made their mark in this country. To help me with this, we've asked the present editor-in-chief of Mega, Piwi Isidro, to pay them a visit.
Hi, Rahul. Hello. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you. You look amazing.
Well, thank you.
What I admire about Rahul Laurel is that he's really made a brand and a business for himself. I think he can really be a role model for future designers to do this.
So Rahul, can you tell us about your current collection?
Okay, if you look at the collection, it started off with, of course, graphic cutouts.
He's done the whole thing. He does uniforms, he does RTW, he now has a shop in the mall, and at the same time, he still continues the couture and collaborates with so many different manufacturers to design all sorts of things.
Every day when a client comes in, I said, ma'am, try color,
Yeah.
try color. Because
color.
there's something about color that
Yeah.
sort of like, for me, is quite optimistic. And
Yeah.
I wanted to have that kind of spirit for the collection.
So I think Grajo's brand and the way he built it as a marketing person and as a designer is quite brilliant.
So Rahul,
Yes.
as you mentioned a while ago, and as we've established, you really have a long history with Mega.
Absolutely.
And your first job
My
was
first job in the Philippine fashion industry, paying job, was
Take note.
with Mega Magazine. Here, they gave me, I served as an illustrator.
Okay.
And I would illustrate
Wow.
different stories.
Yes.
And then eventually they gave me like a...
Your own
my
section, your own column, yeah.
So there. So this is my first job in Mega.
Wow. So Rahul, let's take a trip back to memory lane.
Yes.
Blast from the past. Can you talk about your YDC experience?
It was the first design competition, and for me it was the most important. It was also so bongga. And you know, to be chosen as part of the 6 young designers then was quite
Quite the feat,
exhilarating,
of
quite a feat,
course.
quite a feat.
Yeah. And here's a book. They
Yes,
gave
you know,
out
I
during-
saved it, and it's you know,
It's still in one
it's
piece.
still in one piece, a little bit ratty. It's more than 2 years old, and these are my co-contestants, you know, and they're luminaries in their own particular field. Fern Onye, Philip Tampus, Oj Hoffer, me, and Wilfred D, and then we have Ernie Kwan, who's from Zamboanga.
So you were the only one from Manila. You were
Yeah,
saying,
because look, everybody, Cebu,
Yeah.
Zamboanga, Davao,
Davao,
Cebu, and then Alabang.
Rahul. And you're all in your like early 20s.
Yeah, I was 22 years old.
Yeah.
I still remember it. You know, all of these things really mold us as human beings. It gives me a sense of friendly competition, camaraderie, and uniting the industry as one. Obviously, there's always competition within co-designers, but it made us sort of like realize that only as a unit, as one, can we really progress and become better. And realizing that, you know, we are all brothers in our industry.
Rahul, how about designers, young designers, in terms of like their expectations in the fashion industry?
My advice is to sort of like, I don't want to burst their bubble. Yes, keep the dream alive. Yes, dream and fantasize. But you must keep your feet firmly planted on the ground. And you have to base it on reality and manage your expectations. Hindi naman masamang managinip eh.
Of course.
Pero kailangan hindi lang puro panaginip kasi trabaho rin naman to.
Of course. I think, Rahul, a lot of people would agree when I say this, that you're one of the most successful designers who has really transitioned to just not a designer, but a brand. You know, what is your secret? How did you do that?
Well, I always think that anything that you do creatively, you can apply your aesthetic. You just have to really remain honest and authentic to what you're trying to do. You also have to believe in what you're doing, because the sense of belief attracts others to sort of like believe in what you're trying to say. In essence, I'm lucky again because I was able to sort of like transfer my aesthetic to any particular medium, whether it be hamburgers, cakes, beds, school supplies, shoes, perfumes. But it's the same kind of philosophy. I need to love it. I need to really love what I created and what I made. Because if I don't love it, I won't be able to say, Pee-wee, try this. It's the same manner.
You can't sell it.
You can't sell it. And it won't fly.
And And you know, like you being a designer and having this established career, you also moved on to do projects like TV shows. You're a judge in Project Runway. How has your experience as a YDC alumni helped in terms of you dealing with young designers?
You know, that's a wonderful question. Primarily because I approach them the way I would sort of like approach myself if I were in their shoes. Okay. Because I've been there.
You've been there.
I've been there. I know how it feels. I know how the pressure. I know the stress. I know how I know everything. I've been there. I mean, you know, during my time, YDC was the most important thing in our world, and design competitions were a way to sort of like not only show our what we can do as a designer, but also as a platform. It's a platform to launch who we are and to be able to put our name out there. So that's quite important. My advice is always, if I were looking at myself in the mirror 20 years ago, it was the same thing, which is just keep on doing what you're doing and continuously better your craft and be patient, diligent, and professional.
There are some designers that throughout their careers have had like a relationship with Mega, and John Herrera is one of them.
These are the trophies that I really, really value.
John has been a Mega baby. I think he can truly claim that.
Mega gave me an award called the Young Designer of the Year Award. That one started it all, so I will never stop cherishing that moment. Just a memory now, but the trophy is still with me, reminding me every day that, yeah, I've come a long way from that. And in 2009, I got the Mega Fashion Awards trophy as well for Most Promising Young Designer. When I was starting, in the middle of my career, and then in 2013, Paul and I won the Mega YDC All-Stars. And yeah, so that's 10 years of my career marked by Mega, and they're the gift that keeps on giving.
How was London?
London was fun.
Yeah, Fashion Week.
Yeah, it was the International Fashion Showcase.
Yes, can you tell us about your experience?
I think 50 to 100 names were submitted, and then they made a list of 5 designers that will make the cut. So I was lucky enough to be part of that Magic 5, we call it. So,
But I think ultimately what I'm really curious about is how you brought the Filipino fashion into a global scale. How did you think you were able to achieve that or do so in that experience in the International Fashion Showcase?
To be global means quality first, outrageousness secondary. Yeah, the quality. That's something that I am very, very sort of proud of when Anna Orsino of head of British Fashion Council told me there's nothing amateur about your clothes. This is a direct quote. And these clothes are well crafted. That's something that sticks with you. I have the lookbook here, what we submitted actually in London.
Wow.
This is the Manananggal. They went crazy over this photo. I think this is the most popular of all my photos. They like that the Manananggal is a creature that severs, at the waist.
The upper body.
The torso, at the torso.
So, in terms of like the fabric or the details that you use, can you talk about that? Because I know you have a flair for the drama.
Yeah,
and
I like to laser cut ruffles and make them. It really takes a lot of difficulty to create this kind of texture, because if you make the ruffles smaller, they won't go like that. If you make them bigger, they won't go like that.
Okay,
and
so
these are
there's an
hand-pleated
exact
ruffles. There's an exact measurement. I'm not gonna tell
it's
everybody.
secret.
Yeah, but it's only in this size that it works this way. That looks like, I don't know, a feather or a fern. I don't know. But it's very yeah, it's very dramatic that way.
So, talking about your aesthetics made me excited about what you're gonna do for the YDC. So, can we have a basic idea on the collection that you will make? Who did you want to dedicate your collection for?
Okay, so first this was inspired by Paul, my twin brother Paul. I have this tattoo here, which is his death anniversary, but I call it my second birthday. When he died in June 8, 2014, I realized that that day, my life was changed forever because I am not a twin anymore. I am just John now. There was a time in my life last year where I was so depressed when it happened. I realized that I only do what I did in the past for the sole reason of impressing him. That's something I realized. It was only to impress Paul. And then that person was taken away. So you're like, what now? And then London happened. And then I realized I have a new mindset. I'm gonna live for a while. I'm gonna live so I can share with him the adventures that I've had here, so that he would know his death wasn't in vain. What we started, I'm gonna continue. I'm taking care of his girls with all that I can. A few years ago, he decided to hire people from the slums in Marikina. He thought it was a wonderful advocacy to actually employ uneducated women and give them a good rate, a good above minimum rate, so they can take care of their families. And that's his legacy. That's forever going to be his legacy. He made me realize that helping other people is better than just to be successful.
Jeffrey Rogador has always had this urban vibe to his designs.
Hi, Jeffrey.
Hello.
Thanks for having us. We are here in Folded and Hung.
Jeffrey was able to take this simple concept of jeepneys and the stops and make it into an entire collection of very simple, wearable skirts, tops, jackets, shirts, and more than anything, he was able to put a business online and collaborate with a major retailer in order to get this out in the market. And so now people can wear it. It's become like the designer thing for the normal person to wear. And I think that is this place of urban.
I can see the Jeffrey Rogador, the jeepney collection stamp is everywhere.
The time has passed when designers, in order to be famous or successful, needed to sit down and make gowns for women. That's not Jeffrey's thing. Jeffrey has found precisely where he needs to be designing, and that is for the every woman and the every man.
How did the jeepney collection start about? What was the inspiration behind it?
Okay, the jeepney apparel started when I was asked to design for Binibini Pilipinas. A friend of mine, which is my partner now in jeepney, asked me if I'm interested doing the RTW version of that Philippine terno. The next day, they registered the name and then pinapatent na agad. We want to spread nationalism and yung ano ng mga tao to boost the Philippine spirit.
This has been a good year for you. Can you talk about highlights of the jeepney collection?
sobrang bilis na mga nangyari sa jeepney after nung Philippine Fashion Week. So, sunod-sunod na yung projects and calls from different brands for collaborations and shows. I got an email from the stylist of Tyra Banks. She said that if I'm interested to dress up Tyra for America's Next Top Model Season 21, and she was pertaining to the clothes with some words. So, inisip ko na yun yung jeepney na gusto niya. And I specifically designed a special collection for her. And then for Jeffrey Regador, meron kaming ginagawa and inaaral ngayon na study to create a new jeepney, which is entirely different from the market of the jeepney products. And it will be showcased with the YDC 20 show. So, doon unang lalabas yung 5-piece collection na yun, and then the extension of that will be during the Philippine Fashion Week.
So Jeff, what about any piece of advice to young designers who want to get their foot in the business? What are the things they need to know if they want to be in the fashion industry?
First na advice is to establish the direction they want. First is the direction, second is the focus. For me, I want RTW. So I will focus with RTW. Kung gusto mo mag-couture, then stick with couture. Yun yung inano ko sa utak ko, mindset ko talaga na stick with RTW, and then inaral ko kung paano siya mag-work, makipag-partner sa isang business partner, and then makipag-partner sa isang brand like Folded and Hung, na magkakatulungan kami pare-pareho. Kasi si Folded and Hung, ang laki na ng reach niya. So, yung market ko naman sa high fashion, mapupunta dun sa mass market. So, napaghahalo yung mga ganung bagay. Yun yung mga dapat kailangan matutunan ng mga bata na you have to start from the bottom. They need to study, of course, fashion, not only the technicalities in terms of fabric construction, yung mga patterns, but also the industry inside where they work, kung paano makipagtrabaho sa isang magazine, makipagtrabaho sa isang brands, makibagay sa mga, from the smallest person to the highest person. Kung yung rapport, they have to establish that rapport to everyone. Kasi napakaliit ang industriya. Pagdating nga dun sa money, wag munang magsugal ng oras, ng pera to start on your own. Kasi mahihirapan ka. Pag bigla mong na kailangan ma-establish mo muna yung pangalan mo.
And you're right, timing is everything as well.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
For me, Chris Diaz is an example of a designer who stuck to his aesthetic, and you can see him evolve with it.
So Chris, can you talk about this collection that you have?
Okay, this collection that I showcased in Manila Fashion Fest is entitled Academe.
Chris is the designer for a woman who likes to be girlish, who likes to be feminine, who likes to be in soft fabrics that always make you feel like a total woman.
How about this piece?
Oh, this is a top. It's kind of sheer, but it's conservative, but cheeky in a way.
Yeah, it is.
So you just need it, you just wear it with a nude bra, or if you're brazen enough, you can wear it with a black bra.
For the Filipino designer, it's always been a struggle to stick to his guns. Sometimes you say, I want to do what the market wants, but that's not how to be a good designer. To be a good designer, you have to establish who you are, and the right women will come to you. And I think Chris has been able to do that.
Where did you hear about the YDC?
So particularly on the radio.
Okay.
Actually, looking back, I'm not really kind of proud of what I did for YDC. It's kind of infantile, I think, because I was like a newbie, so normally when you're a young, aspiring young designer, you look up to someone.
Yes.
And at that time, we had Galliano, we had McQueen, so you had that normal slant on the flair that you're executing.
Drama or, You heard about the YDC when you were still in the design firm. So after your stint at the design firm, what did you do?
Well, I really gave up the work, put it in design, and then bravely tried fashion. So, of course, I need to free myself from all that work, for all the responsibilities, and really focus on fashion design.
I'm curious, right? After YDC, how did things happen for you? I mean, as soon as after, did you start designing? You got clients na?
After YDC, Mega was kind enough to give us like side projects. From there, I was like really starting and preparing myself. I had my labels made, bought my nice pair of scissors, and then
preparing really
a fitting form.
Yeah.
But after that, where are the clients?
Yeah. I'm ready. Where are they?
Yeah, where are they? So that period is kind of tough, and it went for like 8 months before I even got to really have real clients.
Yeah, yeah. What is the reality ba in starting a business, especially in fashion design?
Well, you really start from the bottom.
Okay.
But that period, it's really long. It's not
instantaneous.
It's not an overnight thing.
So Chris, for young people who want to become designers, I wanted to ask you, what do you think are the basic things that you should have to start a business in designing?
Well, aside from the passion and the drive, of course, it's practical to have money.
Okay. At that time.
So normally, when you deal with clients, you would initially ask for a down payment, and then you work around with that for the materials, production, and then you get the remaining balance after you delivered.
Apart from that, what else do you need?
At first, when I started, I didn't have this place, so I basically go to my clients for the fitting.
How about staff?
Staff, when you are starting, you know naman how designers are here in the Philippines. You're a multitasker.
You juggle everything.
You juggle everything. You outsource. You do the marketing. You do the purchasing. You're the runner. So it's kind of hard, but all of those are essential.
Okay, so we were talking about your clientele. What is your approach to them ba? How do you deal with your clients?
Well, it's kind of special when I deal with clients. I really get to know them at first.
Okay.
Yes, I ask what's the dominant color in their wardrobe. It's from there that I really understand what they want. I also consider their complexions, their build, because there are certain formulas that really work with certain body types. You need to take care of your clientele. You need to deliver well. We normally get our clients for referrals, so it's a domino effect. If you deliver well, and then it's a word of mouth.
All throughout the history of the Mega Young Designers Competition, I think what we can claim as a legacy is that we have been able to give designers who probably would never have had the opportunity, the airtime, and a launching pad for them to be known and to start their career. Now, what they do after that is up to them. That's when everything comes into play, all their values, their attitude. That's what really makes you a great success. We just give you a head start. And I think that's important because the airstrip to take off is sometimes the most important thing for a designer who has no network and no possibilities. At the same time, I'm also very proud of the fact that we have proven that really in a competition, being a finalist is already winning. Most of our famous young designers right now, among the alumni, did not win the grand prize. They were second, they were third. Sometimes they didn't even figure in the top 3, but they're famous now because they saw the competition as a journey, and learning through the competition was accomplishment enough, and they used that as the platform from which to become greater. We set out to do, we've accomplished. We wanted to pump new blood into the Philippine industry so that we would have something more interesting to cover. And I think we've done that. All of these designers that we've seen, designers that we've been interviewing, the alumni of the YDC, they're the ones that are making Philippine fashion more interesting, and they're also the ones who are putting it on the global map.
I'm sorry. How are you? You know, there was different steps that I took before that were mistakes.
First time to see your shop.
Be responsible, because that's what Josie told me.
I'm a very private person. I like to do things. I'm alone.
It was really hard for me. Sorry. I always get emotional every time I talk about my life.